I've been cautiously excited for the release of Aliens Fireteam. I stayed away from the coverage, I just saw the trailers. We haven't had a great Aliens game since AVP2 from Monolith back in 2001, and I've been starving for one. I don't really play multiplayer games, but for Aliens, I'm happy to make an exception. It's incredibly difficult to talk about Aliens Fireteam objectively, it may even be impossible. I'm such a huge fan of Aliens, and it's been one of my favorite movies for decades, and I'm certain that my enthusiasm for the movie and all the nostalgic feelings I get when I play this game are causing me to overlook the shortcomings the game has. Like, if I went to a RoboCop-themed restaurant where all they served was boxed macaroni and cheese and fish sticks, but RoboCop posters were all over the wall and the movie played on repeat all day, I'd be here telling you how it's the best restaurant ever. If you're looking for a straight-up traditional review of this game, I suggest you look elsewhere. I'm just going to tell you what this game is about, what I personally like and dislike, looking at it both as a game and talking about it from my perspective as an Aliens fan. This video is going to be all over the place with several tangents, and there will be spoilers about the missions and the Aliens movies, so you've been warned. I think I'm the most impressed with the sound design. They nailed the sounds of the guns, the ones from the movie, the pulse rifle and smart gun specifically. Just listen to this. And as amazing as the pulse rifle sounds and feels to shoot, I'm shocked that it doesn't have a grenade launcher attachment like in the movie. At least 3 or 4 grenades per mission or something, come on. The sound of the movie guns, combined with how good they feel to shoot, is something that has kept me playing this game for hours and hours. That's what I mean when I say I can't even begin to be objective about this game. If you aren't a super fan of Aliens, you won't care this much about the gun sound. You won't be nearly as entertained by something like this. The aliens themselves also sound amazing, very authentic to the film. Some of the other guns sound awesome, and some don't. The game looks great for not being a AAA title. They aren't top-of-the-line graphics or anything, but the locations are well designed and detailed. The atmosphere is perfect. I love these outside sections as they provide a beautiful contrast to the dark and lonely corridors of the industrial ship of the first mission. The look and feel of these places is at times overwhelming. I just get sucked in and want to look all around. The look of this game, capturing the essence of the films, is another huge part of why I find this game so fun to play. Character models look fine, they got the look of the Marines right, and I'm glad you can't go crazy with custom outfits and turn the game into a joke by running around as a giant banana or something. Lip syncing is non-existent, which is weird, but not so bad because the dialogue doesn't matter and I'm skipping it all anyway. And it's a real letdown that you can't play as any of the characters from the movie. I'd do anything to be running around as Drake with his flamethrower and smart gun. The aliens all look good. They aren't incredibly well animated, but they're convincing. And while I was playing, I didn't notice the janky movements because things are moving so fast. The AI is simple, as you'd expect from a horde shooter like this, but there's a good variety of behaviors across all the different kinds of aliens and droids. The music is kinda... well, it's there. It has a few motifs from the Alien and Aliens soundtracks, but a lot of it is just little string melodies and it's not very interesting. There are moments though where the music really captures the action well, and others where it's pretty forgettable. The game's performance is mostly good. Occasionally I've experienced stuttering, but it's rare. I get a bizarre bug when I play the gunner class where I hold weapons at my hip and shoot them into the air, but the shots go forward. When I play technician, sometimes the reticle for my pistol disappears, and I have to switch to my other gun and back and it returns. And there is a horrible sound bug that happens sometimes where a gun sound just continues to fire on repeat. There is a huge problem with game crashing. You cannot ever minimize this game when it's loading, which is when PC players usually minimize things because there's nothing happening. If you're streaming or watching videos while you play, or like me, you're taking notes for an eventual video, and you alt-tab out of this game during a loading screen, it will lock up and crash. It's a horrible bug that needs to be fixed immediately because I keep doing it because I'm so used to it. I'm used to being able to respond to a message or load up another video. I've never experienced this with any other game. If I minimize during gameplay for some reason, sometimes I get locked out of the game and I can only swing the cursor around. I have no idea how I've been able to solve this, it just seems totally random whenever I get it to work again. Okay, so let's get to the gameplay, shall we? Aliens Fireteam is a very simple concept. Go to different locations themed on the Aliens universe, hit switches, and shoot aliens while you do it. You've got 4 classes at the start, with another one unlocked later. The classes complement each other really well. So far, I've been playing Gunner class and the Technician class. Gunner starts with the classic Aliens pulse rifle and shotgun. He has an overclock ability that gives everyone an increased fire rate and speeds up your reload times. And he throws frag grenades, which can later be upgraded to remote detonation, something that makes me very happy. The frag grenade is so good. It's very satisfying to detonate it in the air and kill a bunch of aliens. It does massive damage on higher class aliens and droids too. Demolisher class has the smart gun, which auto-targets enemies, and a pulse rifle as the secondary weapon. I haven't played this one yet, but my partners have, and it seems to rock. The medic class has a pulse rifle and a pistol, and can set down a healing field. It's refilled by picking up med kits, which is kinda weird, and when other players don't understand how it works and they pick up all the med kits, the medic class player will be getting frustrated. Technician class is the one I really slept on. I tried to start with it, but he only uses a pistol and a close quarters weapon like a shotgun or submachine gun, and this immediately turned me off to the class, because I'm here to play an aliens game, and you're telling me I can't use the pulse rifle or the smart gun? I gotta run around with this dainty pistol? No thank you. I can't imagine how any hardcore aliens fan is gonna have fun using Technician. However, after beating the campaign on standard difficulty, I unlocked so many different weapons and raised my combat rating enough to where picking Technician became pretty awesome. I had 15 hours of pulse rifle and grenade fun, and I was ready for something different. I tried Technician again and equipped him with this badass pistol and a 60-round submachine gun or a flamethrower, and I put on all these different attachments to increase fire rate and range effectiveness, and I hopped into a new game. Man, this class is so cool. He can set down a turret, which is good for distracting some alien AI, and eventually it can be upgraded to a flame turret, which is beyond cool. I can set this guy up in a space all on his own, and sometimes he can single-handedly fight off a wave. He's my new best friend. I call him Steve. Technician also has these recharging stun grenades that he sets on the floor. Aliens that run through them get slowed down. If you're smart with your placement, you can really help control the fight. And this pistol, it rocks. I love it. And I have never enjoyed using a pistol in a shooter, except for maybe in Resistance 2. That Magnum was pretty sweet. There's a decent amount of customization options. Not a crazy amount, but you can change your look and get silly hats and all that stuff. There are some important menu options as well, mainly motion blur, outline targets, and kill confirmation floater. Motion blur sucks, get it out of here. Outline targets on casual and standard means the aliens have a yellow highlight. It's fine if you want that, and it's nice you can turn it off. Kill confirmation floater is the red X that pops up with each alien kill. Personally, I like to leave this on because the game is so chaotic sometimes, I like to have that visual information to know that my target is dead. But again, it's nice you can turn it off. I'm gonna suggest raising the brightness about 3 to 4 points more than you'd normally have it if you don't have your monitor on a high brightness setting already, since the game is pretty dark and the aliens are dark too. It does make the game a little less scary, but this is an action game and I need to see what I'm aiming at. You're not gonna believe this, but if you change your resolution, the Apply Changes button is right below it in the list of options. It's so weird. I'm used to having a button at the bottom that says Apply Changes, or hitting Escape and having the game ask if I want to apply changes. I literally did not see the Apply option here. And I was in a group with 2 other players online, and we spent forever trying to find this thing like dumbasses. Don't put the Apply Settings button in the list so it looks like another option. I'd like to have an option to increase the size of the motion tracker, and also put it somewhere else on the screen. I think it's too small and I don't like having to look down at the corner every time. I want it right here so I can keep an eye on it during the action. And not enough games do this, but the company logo introductions at the beginning can be immediately skipped, taking you to the main menu very quickly. I can't overstate how much that pleases me. I have to open and close games a lot when I'm making videos about them, so this is just fantastic. I mentioned the weapon attachments earlier, so let's talk about the upgrade system. Normally in these kinds of games, I find the upgrades to be tedious and overwhelming, but Alien's Fireteam is pretty straightforward. Add this modifier to your overcharge perk to reduce cooldown by 20%. Add this modifier to your stun grenade to increase the range. Got it. That's easy to understand. And I've enjoyed sitting here for long periods of time just thinking about how I'm gonna modify my perks. But I have one question, and maybe someone in the comments can help me out with this. What the hell is stability? When I saw it, I figured it was weapon handling, but then there's a separate stat for weapon handling. So if weapon stability isn't handling, what the fuck is it? The combat in the game is fun. It's not the most fun I've had this year, but it's enough fun to keep me playing and wanting to raise the difficulty. It's repetitive, there's really only one thing you do, so I can't see myself putting hundreds of hours into this game, but I rarely do that anyway. Most games I play for a few hours and I've had enough, so if I get 20 to 40 hours out of this game, I'm happy with my purchase. Most of the combat situations are just good old aliens shooting, but unfortunately there are several sections of terrible cover-based shooting against droids. I'm not a big fan of cover shooters in general, but sometimes it does work here. When there's a few droids mixed into the fight, occasionally having to take cover is actually a pretty fun way to mix up the action. But when you're in these big rooms of nothing but cover shooting for like 10 minutes, the gameplay slows to a crawl and it's awful. The droids are really spongy and it's just not any fun. I do like the inclusion of droids though, just not entire rooms of them. And the enemy variety is pretty good. Burster aliens that explode so you don't want them to die close to you, prowlers that hide around corners and ambush you. You gotta do a little QTE when they grab you, which I hated at first, but as I got better at killing them before they could grab me, the occasional grab and a QTE turned out to be okay. You've got spitter aliens that hide behind cover and lob acid at you. You've got the big drone alien that looks like the classic 1979 alien and runs away after he attacks. And his brother, the Warrior, which is a large version of the 1986 alien's design. Both are intimidating forces that you want to take down quickly. And after a fight is finished, I really like that you can't just stand still. After you kill all the aliens in a certain area, if you don't move on to your next objective, more aliens will start coming at you. So you'll be wasting ammo if you don't get moving. Pretty cool feature. You'll always be moving forward and you gotta keep your eye on the back just in case a few sneak up on you. Spoiler alert for the final level, if you don't want to know what happens at the end, skip to this timecode. So the last level has a long defense section against many waves of aliens. It's the biggest fight of the game and the most fun. And then the big bitch herself, the alien queen, shows up. And it's so exciting. You gotta run from her as she's pursuing you through these hallways and other aliens are popping out at you. It's thrilling as you're escaping, thinking you're leading up to something huge. But the game just ends. You go back to the base and a guy is like, "Congrats, you did it." No, why is there not a big set-piece battle with the queen? Fighting her off while defending against other aliens until the whole place explodes. Huge disappointment right there. There's also a really bad mission in Chapter 3 where all you fight are these white parasite things and mutated humans that run at you. There's like no aliens in the whole thing, and these white mutants suck. There's nothing interesting or even challenging about them, though I haven't played the highest difficulty so I can't be sure. These enemies like droids and zombies, they just aren't all that interesting when it's just them. Mix them in here and there with alien fights and they'd be great. Raising the difficulty means enemy attacks do more damage, but they also have more HP. That can be kind of annoying, but this is an RPG style game where you're constantly leveling up and getting stronger. But I think at a point on the higher difficulties, enemies can feel really spongy, and you'll get stuck in a situation where if you play one difficulty, the game is a breeze, but if you play another one, combat becomes tediously difficult because of how long it takes to kill things. A lot of the difficulty depends not just on you and your partner's strategies, but also on your combat rating. As you're leveling up and gaining XP, unlocking more modifiers for your perks, you know how it goes, and you're gonna want a 3-man team of people who work well together. You can thankfully play this game solo with bots helping you, but that only goes so far. The bots are really fucking stupid, and if you go into the harder difficulties, you're not gonna stand a chance. Bots will get killed constantly, they won't know when to resurrect you at good times, they're just useless. I was playing this as a 2-player game for a lot of the time, and even though we both got to the point where we could handle the hard difficulty, the bot on our team simply wasn't pulling their weight and he got us killed a lot. In all fairness, the game did warn us. So why didn't we play with a third person? Well, because the matchmaking is broken. Because of course it is. None of these multiplayer games can ever release as functional products. There's no excuse, I'm sick of it. 30 hours of gameplay, and only a handful of times have I seen another player join my game. I've tried different difficulties, turning challenges on and off. We are stuck with a bot almost every single time, and it's made it very hard to continue on higher difficulties. Enough to make me say that you should probably not get this game until it's fixed. I've been having a lot of fun here, but the matchmaking is really souring the whole thing at this point because I can't advance to the higher levels unless I organize with other friends who are playing it. And the guys I know who are playing this game are halfway around the fucking world, so we're never around at the same time. When I do get lucky and have people join my team, half the time we get disconnected after we beat a level. The PC version of the game also doesn't feature voice chat or text chat. So if you're playing with strangers, the only way to communicate with them is through adding them outside the game on Discord or something, and going into a voice channel or calling directly. How do you make a co-op game without voice chat? There's no crossplay, which is becoming less and less acceptable as the years go on. There's oddly no option to simply restart a failed mission every time you have to load back into the hub world and manually select the mission again. And there's no option to simply join an open game on whatever difficulty you choose. You gotta randomly match up with someone starting the same level you're starting at the same moment. And you can't join an ongoing game either. The matchmaking really needs to be rethought. I'm here playing with a friend at my house. They have to bring their laptop over here to play with me because the game has no split screen option. Why? Why do game developers always leave out split screen for multiplayer games? When did we just decide this was okay? I grew up playing split screen Twisted Metal with my best friend. We played split screen Halo on the big screen TV. I don't like playing multiplayer games alone in my room over a microphone. I want to be with people, turn to see them smile and laugh, hit a high five when we pass a difficult mission. Just because online gaming exists doesn't mean people don't hang out with friends in person. People have brothers and sisters and parents and children to play with. No split screen option is bullshit. And you know what else is bullshit? No field of view slider. In 2021, shooting games where enemies attack you from all sides are releasing without an FOV slider. I can't see anything, and constantly zooming in and out makes me feel sick. Being this close to a character is bad enough, but aiming down sights zooms you in so far it's like we're playing Dead Space. And this claustrophobic camera works in Dead Space, but it doesn't work here where there's aliens nipping at my goddamn feet and I can't see them. I don't mind a tight FOV in a horror game. It's fine in Resident Evil 7. But this game isn't going for horror. It's a fast-paced horde shooter, and this camera is sabotaging the combat. I should be dying because of bad decision making, not because I can't see what's happening and I'm feeling nauseated by the camera zooming in all the time. Thank the Lord that someone sent me an FOV fix. I set it to 90 and it's a revelation. The game plays so much better this way. I can actually see what's going on, and the camera zoom isn't ridiculous. And while we're on the negatives, I gotta say, as an Aliens fan, I'm a bit disappointed in the environments. Being an Aliens fan is different for different people, so I'm gonna lay out how I feel about the franchise. 1979's Alien is a classic, a masterpiece of sci-fi horror, one of the most important movies ever made. It's very simple, it's basically a slasher movie in space, but with an alien. What makes it great is the visionary filmmaking, the performances, atmosphere and sound design, and of course the iconic creature itself. Like any great sci-fi movie of its time, the only negative about it is some of the dated creature effects. I love the movie, but I love the sequel Aliens more. Aliens is a very different film, being a character-driven action horror movie. It captures the same level of tension of the original film, but now with an awesome military squad that's in over their heads. I love Aliens for the set design, the music, the evolution of Ripley as a character, the mother-daughter connection between her and Newt, the camaraderie with Hicks and the Marines, the memorable characters like Bishop, Hudson, and Vasquez. There's just a lot more going on story-wise with Aliens. I will never just put my foot down and declare that one is better than the other. I believe they are complementary films, and I happen to land on the sequel side of the argument. Beyond the first two films, I have an appreciation for Alien 3, but not the theatrical version that was butchered by the studio. Alien 3 is notorious for having been made under terrible conditions where the script was being constantly changed, first-time director David Fincher was being dicked around by Fox, and major parts of the movie were cut out. And we're not talking about fun extra scenes like in Aliens where the director's cut restores the turret sequence. No, they removed massive chunks that fundamentally changed the movie that Alien 3 is. There's a version of Alien 3 called the Assembly Cut that restores almost 40 minutes of lost footage. It's not a director's cut, there is no director's cut, but the Assembly Cut might as well be a totally different film, and it turns Alien 3 into a very interesting film that's a lot more cohesive and entertaining. It's pretty good, it's no masterpiece, but I like it. Alien Resurrection, I'm not a fan of. I like the premise and the practical alien effects, but beyond that, I don't care for it. The story, the characters, the stupid jokes, not for me. I do not like Prometheus at all. I like the visuals, they're very cool, and I was excited to see it when it came out, but I don't like the story very much. I don't like any of the stupid characters, and I hate the engineers. Taking this mysterious alien being from the original film that was clearly not just a dude in a suit, and turning him into a dude in a suit was horribly damaging to the franchise. This thing was called the Space Jockey for decades by fans, and it was never ever considered to be a human-like being wearing a suit. The exoskeleton was fucking fossilized in the first movie, an alien having burst through his ribcage. It was so weird and hard to understand. And now it's this. They took something that was cool and mysterious for 35 years and morphed it into some kind of race that created all life on Earth? Fuck off. And finally, I despise Alien Covenant. It's a Frankenstein mess of a movie filled with unlikable, stupid characters and no tension at all, made by a director who has lost all sense of what Alien was about. Besides the movie franchise, there's also the games. The old Aliens arcade game was a fun time as a kid, and I loved AVP2 on PC. But there's also another Alien game. Well, I wouldn't call it a game. It's a piece of interactive software called Alien Isolation, where you walk around a spaceship for 20 to 30 hours opening doors, finding keycards, and solving puzzles made for people recovering from a traumatic head injury. It's a big joke of a game. I hate it. Everyone who follows my channel knows I hate it. Not because it's slow, I like some slow games. I hate it because it's terrible and insulting. Moving on. After hearing all that, you'll understand why I'm somewhat disappointed in the environments of Alien's Fireteam. There are 4 chapters, 3 missions each. All the missions of the first chapter take place on a ship that is modeled after the ship from Alien Isolation. Now, I know what you're gonna say, that ship was modeled after the Nostromo from the original film. And that's true. but we never saw much of the Nostromo's interior. We saw corridors, a dining room, an engineering room. They didn't have the budget to build 20 sets. Alien Isolation took a lot of creative liberties in designing their own locations based off the look of the original film. And they did a great job. I think the environments and atmosphere of Alien Isolation are the best things about it. But playing these missions does give me flashbacks to that game, especially with all the working Joes. And either the studio modeled some of their locations directly after Alien Isolation, or they actually got access to the assets of that game, because I swear I've been in some of these places before. I've seen this little stair section. It's the same part in my Alien Isolation video where Amanda Ripley couldn't walk up a tiny step. But hey, that's just one chapter. And it's not so bad that it reminds me of Alien Isolation, because it's still an environment that feels like the first Alien film, and that's nice. However, the next 2 chapters are based around Prometheus, and that's simply unacceptable. One would be okay, because like I said, I really like the style of Prometheus. Even though I hate the introduction of the engineers and what they turned out to be, walking into some of these Prometheus-style locations was amazing. They look so damn cool. But come on, half the game is in the Prometheus world? We don't visit a prison planet like in Alien 3, we don't go through a civilian Weyland-Yutani facility that looks like the one from Aliens, the movie the game is based on. Hell, we could have gone to one of those pyramids from Alien vs. Predator. In the final chapter, we end up in an alien hive, which looks awesome. And some parts of it have the vibe of the later parts of the movie where everything is covered in alien structures. But by that point, it wasn't enough for me. 3/4 of Alien's Fireteam are set in installments of the Alien franchise that I don't like, and if just one of these chapters had been set in a different place, I would have been much happier. Or if there were additional chapters that went to those locations, because that's another issue, the game is short. It's designed to be replayed to level up and try harder difficulties, but 12 20-minute missions is not enough. It's not a $60 game, it's $40, so it's not egregious, but this feels like 2/3 of the full experience. And thankfully, there are free expansions coming out, which makes me feel like the price will go on to be fully justified. You know, it sounds like I don't like this game, right? I've talked about a lot of things that are either wrong about it or that I just don't personally like. Yet, I really like this game. It's really fun. So I guess what I'm saying is, despite all the criticisms one could levy at Alien's Fireteam, all the stuff it gets right makes up for it. Like I said, I can't really recommend it until the public matchmaking is fixed, unless you're sure you can put together a team of 3, or you want to play around in single player with bots. If you're a big Aliens fan and you want to shoot up some aliens with friends, this is a really good game for that. Your enjoyment of the environments will differ from mine depending on how much you like the later films, and if you want to play beyond the standard difficulty, you're gonna need good partners. The core gameplay is very solid, the mood is great, the customization options are intuitive and interesting, all the classes have something to offer, the franchise has been shown a lot of respect, and the game pushes you to work as a team. I'm happy that I'm playing this game. If I weren't an Aliens fan, I wouldn't be playing it. This gameplay concept works very well with an Aliens theme. It just doesn't use it to its full potential. You'll have to make a decision on whether or not it looks like something you'd enjoy despite the issues I've pointed out. And if you do get it, I hope you have fun. I gotta say, I'm into it. I'm enjoying it. And at the end of the day, that's enough to keep me happy.